Well, there we go. Glad got this going. And hey, with the depth chart release, I am not surprised. But man, thanks for the number of you in the chat right now, right here on Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. Thank you for being Gators Breakdown Plus members, and something we've been waiting for, waiting for, waiting for. I don't know how many messages I have gotten over the last couple of days. When we're going to get a depth chart? Well, here we are, Monday evening, a few days before Florida travels to Dallas first, and then Salt Lake City, Utah, with the hurricane coming. Florida, of course, got to change some travel plans. So not straight to Salt Lake City on Wednesday like the original plan was for Billy Napier. Now going to fly out on Tuesday, head to Dallas, and then we'll head to Salt Lake and get ready for the game versus Utah on Thursday night, of course. So, hey, without further ado, let's we'll go through the depth chart just a little bit. I'm glad that Florida released it right here. Figured it would be on this Monday evening. I thought it would be Sunday or Monday. And we got. I know we had Jimbo, please mute, please. And then, got the depth chart. I thought it would be Sunday or Monday. New Florida, that press conference, unless it's happening right now, it was supposed to be at 6:30 originally. And then they pushed it up to 6. And as we record at 7:30 almost, it still has not happened. So I'm sure Florida's scrambling and trying to get everything everything together for the trip on Tuesday now. So I'm trying to, well, guys, you get a good little preview here of what's going on, but I'm replying to a text right now. Sirius XM SEC Radio wants me to jump on with Alyssa Lang and Chris Doring tomorrow morning at 9:00. So let me reply yes on that right quick so I don't lose my spot. But
And just really quick, it looks like Napier did just finish up his presser, and they had a couple players as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I messaged Delatorre, and he said he was late, and it happened already, and Marshall was up now. But that was at 7:09, so it's probably somebody else up there.
Yeah, I figured with the timeline, and of course, I wasn't there in person, of course, but I figured it was still happening. They probably not throwing it up on YouTube. Was it on? They didn't live stream. I didn't get a notification for it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay.
I checked YouTube and I checked Twitter. I didn't see it, so they might have it on Gator Vision later.
Yeah,
I think Jacob Rudner says that he said that the midweek pressers will not be live streamed.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were considering this a mid of, even though they're going to have pressers on Mondays. Of course, we all know that. I wasn't sure if they were going to consider this one midweek or not. So makes sense. I think in the past that we know the midweeks usually aren't streamed. So I guess they're going to keep with that. So, all right, hey guys, let's get to it. The depth chart, and I'm just going to go through it as they presented it to us, not starting with quarterback or anything like that. But wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall at one spot, Eugene Wilson, Aiden Mizell, the two true freshmen behind him. Going to outside here, Caleb Douglas, Marcus Burke, Andy Jean at one of the wide receiver spots. And then our first surprise of the depth chart release, Khalil Jackson as a starter here for the Gators with Jaquavion Frazier's behind him. So there's your 3 wide receiver spots. And I'm sure you guys, like me, are a little surprised. And look, I'll give credit. I do not remember who it was, but I was on YouTube last night. Will and I were doing the over under a prediction episode, and there was a guy in there saying he was picking Khalil Jackson to be his breakout player, and maybe the little birdie knew something. Maybe he knew something right here as Khalil Jackson is listed as a starter right here for the depth chart week 1 versus Utah here. So, I mean, first of all, before we get into this move right here for Billy Napier and Billy Gonzalez right here at the wide receiver spot, this is a depth chart. We don't Florida stuck mostly to it last year for the most part. I mean, I remember a year ago, before the first game, we see Trevor Etienne was listed as the 3rd running back instead of Lorenzo Wingard. We all go crazy, and we saw, hey, that was some truth there. But as we go through here, we'll see. I still expect a lot of these guys who are not starters to get a lot of playing time. But no surprise, Pearsall, maybe a mild surprise, Caleb Douglas. But I'm hearing he had a really good spring, taking that to fall camp too. Him or Marcus Burke, I wouldn't have been surprised starting there, but Khalil Jackson being named the starter, that's the biggest surprise at the wide receiver spot.
He must be a dog.
Yeah. He said somebody must have knew something. He got what, a scholarship back in what, July?
Yeah.
And then
that's right.
Being a walk-on. I mean, I've seen, I mean, from what I've seen from him, I mean, like he kind of looks the part from the small portion I've seen from it, but like it's pretty crazy, man. I mean, and of course, like you said, like with last year, putting Trevor Etienne in there. I mean, we have those receivers, obviously the freshman receivers everybody, wants to see on the field. You might see them too.
Oh, for sure. With Jackson, hey, he's got the genes. He's got the family genes right here, and those Jacksons have done some great things in their careers at Florida. That family has meant a lot to the University of Florida. Maybe one more, maybe slot one more Jackson in here at receiver and doing some good things at Florida. But yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. And Will Miles is too. He texted me after seeing this depth chart. Remember, guys, he picked Jaquavion Fraziers to be one of the players we could count on at wide receiver. But look, he'll still contribute a lot, still have that opportunity to be that type of player for Florida. But Khalil Jackson getting in here, 6'3", 210, redshirt sophomore, of course, as Dave said, got that scholarship. But does this, beyond the surprise, does this worry you any? Make you feel better about the wide receiver spot, seeing Khalil Jackson listed as a starter?
It's the unknown, man. I don't know if I'm worried or if I'm surprised. I guess I'm more of a surprise and intrigued by it, just based on the fact that, he was a walk-on. He earned a scholarship. So obviously he did something right to get that scholarship. So I'm kind of intrigued by it, to be honest.
What's about the other guys out there? I think they put it good. I think intriguing is probably the best way to put it.
Probably some intrigue, some worry. Obviously, it just depends on how heavy we're going to go 12. But then it also leads to some more worry about who's your second tight end, because you're going to go young there too. So it's going to be some experience, a little intrigue either way. Either going 11, you have some intrigue there. You're either going 12, you got some intrigue there. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all expect still Trey Wilson, Aiden Mizell, Andy Jean. I think we know those guys are going to play and get plenty of reps. Kind of going back to something we talked about last week, though, and something I brought up was these young freshman receivers being in their first game, that hostile environment of Utah. Now, don't get me wrong, Florida's used to playing at Tennessee and at LSU, at Tallahassee last year. The young guys will get their first taste of Death Valley and LSU this year. But Florida, for most of the team and guys who played last year and have been on the team for a few years, the atmosphere at Utah is not going to be surprising to them at all. But for those freshman receivers, the Mizell, the Wilson, and the Jean, that's that this will be their first time. I mean, while it might not be, I think it was Nick De La Torre, a good buddy. I think he posted it earlier where Utah's stadium would rank in SEC size, and it was next to last to Vanderbilt. So the crowd size won't be anything new for these people, for this team. The crowd noise won't be much of a factor, but it will be for those true freshmen. So maybe that kind of comes into it a little bit too. But I expect, at least one of the true freshmen to get a good bit of reps versus Utah and this depth chart, especially for the receiver position. We know that kind of naturally, you'll rotate a good bit. You'll go to your second set of guys a good bit.
Well, and Dave, this is just me speculating, but whether it's Khalil or whether it's our list, there could be a component here of, these guys are just better in practice at blocking. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that could be part of that angle.
Hey, guys, you want something else Florida just put out? The uniform schedule. So let's break it right here on Gators Breakdown Plus. Utah game, Florida, it will be wearing...
I sent it in the chat.
Did you? Okay. We'll go through here, too, just in case you guys are not seeing it. But got it pulled up right here. August 31st versus Utah. Orange, white, blue. So orange helmets, blue pants. McNeese, orange, blue, white. So traditional. September 16th, Tennessee. All blue with the orange helmets. So, of course, no surprise there for Florida. Let's see. Charlotte, orange, blue, white. Traditional uniforms again. At Kentucky. Orange, white, white. Orange helmets, white jerseys, white pants. Vanderbilt, orange, blue, white. Traditional again at home. At South Carolina, orange helmets, white jerseys, blue pants. Georgia, orange helmets, blue tops, white pants. Of course, November 4th versus Arkansas, black, black, black. Fans wear black. So it will be a blackout right there. Let me go back to for Tennessee, fans wear blue. For Vanderbilt, fans wear blue. Charlotte fans wear orange. McNeese fans wear white. When Florida travels to LSU, of course, LSU likes to wear the home whites. Florida will be in all blue with the orange helmets. Versus Missouri, orange helmets, white tops, blue pants. And then Florida State, the only time Florida at home, besides the Arkansas game, when Florida wears orange tops or orange helmets versus Florida State, Florida will be in all blue. Blue tops, blue pants versus Florida State at home. So there's your uniform schedule.
Yeah, we're going to smack Kentucky.
Orange, white, white. There we go. So there's your uniform schedule.
Hopefully they leave Florida State black and blue and then again.
Oh, there we go. All right, guys, let's keep it going right here. Let's go to the depth chart, and we can come back around to receiver if we want to. Left tackle, Austin Barber, no surprise, backed up by Jordan Herman or Bryce Lovett. Left guard, maybe here's the maybe mild surprise. We heard about this. I think I brought it up the second scrimmage notes, but instead of Micah Mazuka being at left guard, it is Richie Leonard at left guard. Micah Mazuka is at right guard. So we thought Mazuka was going to come in, play left guard where he mostly played at Baylor. But now we kind of get our first switch here. Micah Mazuka taking over for Osiris Torrance at right guard. And Mazuka's got that reputation of being a great run blocker. And now we'll kind of fill in that right guard spot after Osiris Torrance leaves. We go to center, and this is where we get our first injury question in just a little bit here. Kingsley Aguakan is listed as questionable, lower body injury. I originally heard that he was going to be okay and be able to play. I don't think the confidence was as high as it was, but I still haven't heard the plan is for him not to play. I still expect him to play as of now, but maybe not as confident as it once was. Jake Slaughter is listed as the backup at center. He would get the start there if Kingsley's not able to go. If we go back to right tackle, Micah Mazuka, Najee Harris backs him up at right guard. And then at right tackle, Damian George backed up by Lindell Hudson. So, guys, there's really nothing too alarming, right? Mazuka being at right guard and Richie Leonard being at left guard. Leonard played a lot last year, got some good reviews there at guard. I think that just kind of what we'll all be waiting to see is maybe Kingsley not starting at center.
Yeah, they got Najee Harris at like right guard, center, left guard.
Yeah.
Depth is scary.
Really is. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, behind Austin Barber, I mean, hopefully this guy can stay healthy because Jordan Herman at left tackle. I'm like, maybe you unearthed something. A year ago, we were not talking about Austin Barber coming in and doing what he did. And now, we were so confident in him being a left tackle this year. But a year ago, it took Tarquin to get hurt, Barber to come in and really show off. So, no, I'll agree. As it looks right now, yeah, depth would still be a concern. Maybe they're still deeper there than we actually think they are. But, yeah, we need Austin Barber to stay healthy at left tackle.
Yeah, I think what really stands out, too, is the size. I mean, the size difference from, like, past depth charts.
Good point. Let me go to the –
everybody at, like, over 300 pounds, maybe one guy at 295, but that's it, man. Like, the average weight's probably around, like, 330, 340.
And look, that's the biggest difference at left tackle. Austin Barber, 300. Herman behind him at 375. There's a 75-pound difference in your starting left tackle and your backup left tackle. And then Richie Leonard, yes, 310. Kingsley, 300. Mazuka, 325. Damian George, 355. There, you would go down in size to Lindell Hudson at right tackle if you had to go to him. I expected him to play some as well. Damian George, 355. Lindell Hudson, 325. Yeah, there you go. There's your offensive line.
6'8".
We are going to absolutely wear teams down with this offensive line if they can stay healthy. Because that size, carrying that size for 4 quarters, boy, I would not want to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point with Jordan Herman. I mentioned he was 375. He's also 6'8". 6'8", 375. And when Barber is basically 6'6", 300. So, yeah, there we go.
At least we got that going for us.
There we go. Got some nice size. All right,
Round them out.
Let's move to tight end, guys. And Dante Sanders is listed as a starter right now, missing a whole lot of fall camp. So kind of surprised to see that. Hayden Hansen behind him, Jonathan Odom behind him. I don't know what to make of this tight end depth chart because I expect Jonathan Odom to play a lot. I honestly do, especially what he was able to do at the end of last year. I know he missed some time as well. And look, that's the thing about this position, dating back to last year, dating back to this past spring, and now fall camp as well. It's just the injuries that just seem to happen at this spot. Maybe that has something to do with the depth chart. But one tight end, set more of the blocking tight end set, I guess we'll label it here for Dante Sanders, Hayden Hansen, Jonathan Odom. Then the other set of tight ends, Tony Livingston atop the depth chart, Jonathan Odom behind him, and then Arlis Bortingham, a guy that we're all heard a whole lot about back in the spring here so far as well, listed as third. So we'll see what that means. If we're to take this at face value, I think we're probably a little surprised Arlis Bortingham is there on the bottom of the depth chart.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Tony was recruited as an offensive lineman?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that probably has a lot to do with it as far as the blocking aspect of running 12.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The way they they love his athleticism as well. I know he's recruited and had that offensive line profile. I always thought he was going to be a tight end.
Yeah, and even Hayden Hansen's been pretty good in these scrimmages too. Yeah. From what I've read from the notes.
So yeah, a little bit of a surprise there with Bortingham being a little down on the depth chart. Quarterback, no surprise. Graham Mertz. Jack Miller is listed as the backup and questionable for the game with an upper body injury. He's not going to play. He's not the backup right now. Let's go to Max Brown and Michael Leon. There's a lot of talk about maybe Leon being the second quarterback, but as far as the depth chart goes, and if we're to trust the depth chart, it would be Jack Miller, Max Brown, Michael Leon.
Yeah, didn't Spurrier say something about him?
Yeah.
Michael Leon,
mm-hmm. Like where he was at, like what he sees.
Well, we just got to keep Mertz healthy if what Shane's telling us is true. So,
yeah, I know Josh Pate's show too. He said, talking to Napier at SEC Media Days, Paul Christ at Wisconsin, saying, "Hey, maybe we held Graham Mertz back a little bit. Maybe we didn't put him in the best spots." And I know that's been a talking point for us ever since Graham Mertz has, ever since he transferred to Florida. And that has been a big conversation. Did that offense hurt him? Did he hurt that offense? Both things can be true at the same time. We're going to get our answer, but I think ever since Graham Mertz has transferred from Wisconsin, we kind of heard the whispers of not the best situation, and we kind of chronicled it on the podcast many a times of run on first down, run on second down. Hey, Graham, go convert 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Not very conducive, not using a whole lot of play action. So maybe they weren't putting him in the best spots, and we'll get the unearthing of one Graham Mertz starting Thursday night.
Yeah, their offense they ran was very basic. It was almost kind of Doug Nussmeier without the play action before the 3-step drop. So hopefully the more of the play action and stuff, which he's had a lot of success in play action, according if you look at PFF stats and all that stuff. So I'm really curious, man, how they utilize Graham Mertz more with play action and sort of kind of the run game that they try to instill with ETN, Montrell, and all the rest of those guys. So.
Speaking of those, running back, no surprise. Montrell, Johnson, Trevor Etienne. Now, Trayon Webb, of course, is the third back with Cam Carroll being out for the season. So before we move to defense, guys, anything else you want to talk about for the offensive side?
Just jet sweeps with the freshman receivers, man.
Too bad on the depth chart they don't have jet sweep guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Seems like Jackson ran a lot of the end arounds or sweeps when Henderson wasn't in there last year.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting that Max Brown is QB3 still.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. We all thought he would QB2.
I was going to say Rudner just put out a tweet about Eugene Wilson. It says Graham Mertz on Eugene Wilson. I've been in college for a few years, and I haven't seen someone that fast, that twitchy. And then Jason Marshall and Wilson, sometimes
He is listed second punt returner now behind Ricky. You got to throw him in there, in my opinion. You can't have Ricky out there.
It is.
Catching punt.
Yeah, since
I won't. He's got to touch the ball.
Yeah, I won't bury that since you pointed it out. Punt returner, Ricky Pearsall, Eugene Wilson, kickoff returner, ETN still listed there. I don't know how much that will change with the depth concerns with Carroll out now at running back, but it is listed on kickoff return. Trevor Etienne, Jason Marshall, Montrell Johnson, and Eugene Wilson there as well on the depth chart. So Trey Wilson, kickoff return and punt return. But did notice on the punt return, it does say or Ricky Pearsall or Wilson. So, hey, look, if he claims it pretty early, the thing is, he could just be this weapon on offense. We don't want him to get hurt either. So, maybe had a balance. Maybe it really will be Pearsall or Wilson. And, maybe they rotate so they limit the chance for injury. Maybe they both bring heavy value at the punt return spot. Then maybe they do just rotate to kind of just limit the chances those guys can get hurt back there.
They need to use him like they're using Zachariah Branch out at USC.
Oh, I know. I mean, I think that's I saw it on Twitter as well, but just the way they made it easy for him in his first game as a true freshman, but also he proved, I think, at the same time that he can play in that Lincoln Riley offense. But you could tell there were just plays designed for him. It's just like a little flick here, just get the ball in his hand somehow, some way. I do think we will see Wilson using that a lot in that same regard.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to mention. I forgot that. I mean, even though they're freshmen, I mean, you just look at what Branch did.
Yeah,
and it was San Jose State still. I mean, that was what he had, like over 200 yards total and like overall like returns, receiving, all that kind of stuff, man. Like, but I saw him in the Under Armour game. I knew he was going to be good anyway.
We'll keep with the specialist before I move to defense. Trace Mack on kickoff. Adam Mihalik behind him. Place kicker is Adam Mihalik with Trace Mack behind him on place kicking. Punter Jeremy Crawshaw, no surprise there. Long snapper Rocco Underwood, no surprise there as well. So, all right, we'll move to the defense at the F spot and kind of been one of the most popular topics lately with the injury to Justice Boone. F spot, really no surprise here, guys. Tyreek Sapp listed as a starter, Jack Pyburn behind him. That's basically what we knew. And then behind Pyburn, we got Cam James, a true freshman, or Kelby Collins, a true freshman. I think we have heard that those guys have been kind of coming along as of late and really making the most of the opportunity, even before Boone went down with injury, that these freshmen at this spot, at this edge rush F spot right here for the Gators with the hand in the dirt style of defensive end, that these are the guys that are pushing for snaps as true freshmen. We go to nose tackle, Cam Jackson, Desmond Watson, Jamari Lyons. Lyons may be overlooked, guys. He's been overlooked by me too. I'll be honest with that. But asking around, his name did get brought up. They like where he's at, so he's probably going to get some playing time too, and maybe add to the depth that we do think Florida has more of now in the middle of that defensive line. Keep going here at end. They got Caleb Banks or Chris McClellan and Will Norman. Chris McClellan is also listed with a lower body injury that's questionable. First I've heard of that. I did not. It caught me by surprise a little bit here on the depth chart as far as Chris McClellan goes. And then at Jack, we got Princely Human-Mielon, TJ Searcy, a true freshman, or Jack Pyburn. Jack Pyburn listed in both spots as the Jack and the F, so playing standing up, playing with his hand in the dirt as well. Guys, what catches your eye right here on the defensive front?
I like the whole defensive depth chart. But yeah, man, right there on edge, Sapp, Pyburn, James, Collins. I mean, like that lineup right there is like I'm really excited for Jack Pyburn. Like from what I've been hearing in the scrimmages, from what he's done in high school, especially his last senior year, he had like 21 sacks. Like I'm really excited for this kid, and I think he's really very, very underrated when it comes to a recruiting ranking too.
Hey, before somebody else jumps in, I'll keep this in mind. Can you see where, for Cam James, Kelby Collins, and those guys, TJ Searcy, I want to see how much they're inserted into the game when it's not obvious passing situations. I do think for true freshmen, it is easy to tell them on a 3rd and 6, 7, 8, maybe 3rd and long. Hey, we know your job is go get the quarterback. But are they in there when it's not an obvious passing situation? That's what I'll be looking for when these true freshmen are in there. Is it just the obvious passing situations? I mean, there's value in that as well. Going to get the quarterback. But does that tell us anything about how far they're coming along? If they're out there and when it's a questionable run pass, that means they trust him to go out there and make the play in either scenario. Oh.
Come on now. Some other people.
Yeah. Hop in, guys. Don't be shy.
Just to add to what you said, it's for young guys to be able to play post-passing situations, running situations. It just requires an extra level of discipline. So if they are out there,
right.
then I think we should be really excited for the future because that means that they're understanding the entire concept of their responsibility at that point.
Cool.
I got to say, I'm interested in seeing how some of the second string defensive interior guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Desmond Watson in his second year, getting more minutes. Jamari Lyons as a redshirt freshman, and obviously Will Norman as a true freshman with Chris McKellen out. I kind of feel like, the starters are going to be run stuffers, that kind of thing, but I want to see how those younger guys, and especially Desmond Watson, does with another year of technique, another year of training, and see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, hopefully McClellan's not out, but certainly questionable there. So we'll see what that means. Somebody I'm really looking forward to in his second season. All right, we'll move to linebacker. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Desmond Watson being able to play with like other players so he can actually play and not be winded the entire time.
Yeah.
Like he can get it on just on the rundowns, do his damage, absorb blocks, and then come out. That's what I'm excited.
That's another big thing.
I'm still really surprised. Right. And I'm just surprised to kind of extend that. I mean, I like this depth. And I knew we've been talking about it since the spring, but guys, I don't think it's lip service. I really do think they're certainly deeper than what they were last year. Now, what does that equate to as far as how better they'll play? That's still to be determined. They will be better. Hopefully it's difference making better.
Yeah, you even heard Shane talk about it too. They look like an SEC defensive line.
Yeah.
And I'm also wondering if on passing situations, does Florida take off a defensive lineman off the field and add another safety, add another defensive back, because we have so many defensive backs that we feel good about, so many guys we want to see play, whether it be Jaden Hill, Jalen Kimber, getting Kamari Wilson closer to the line of scrimmage, RJ Moten, a guy you want in the box, that kind of thing. Looking forward to see how Armstrong is creative when it comes to getting guys in the box and getting more guys in the field.
Yeah, I remember him, specifically talking about linebacker. That's where we'll go next. But he laid it out for us. There's gonna be times we got 3 linebackers on the field. There's going to be times we got 2 linebackers on the field. There's going to be times we got 1 linebacker on the field. So it does seem like, and look, that's nothing new. I mean, it's not like some revelation or anything like that. But, a lot of defensive coordinators do that. It's nothing special for Austin Armstrong. But, the willingness to, adapt in a game there in your personnel that you put out there on the field. Let's go to linebacker, and Scooby Williams, the top of the depth chart here. Or Miguel Taraja Mitchell or Derek Wingo. So a lot of ors in that one linebacker spot. And then the other linebacker spot, Shamar James, Manny Nunnery, or Jaden Robinson, another true freshman there for the Gators in that linebacker spot. No surprise when you go 6 deep into 6 names that we expected at this spot too. But Scooby Williams listed at one of the linebacker spot, but also listed as the Sam, Scooby, Manny Nunnery, and don't forget, guys, Jamarcus Weston. We haven't talked about this at all. Now listed as a linebacker from wide receiver to safety to now Sam more. Okay, we'll see. Maybe he's found a home here. 6'3", 230. When you look at Scooby Williams, about 6'2", 230. Manny Nunnery, 6'1", 225. So he's got that build of the other Sam linebackers that he's in the grouping with right here. But that's probably one of the, I think, depth wise, I'm just got some questions here, not in a bad way. Just I want to see who really contributes the most. So Shamar James, I feel the best about, of course, after his freshman season last year. But now, throw in Taraja Mitchell coming in from Ohio State, Scooby Williams with more experience at the linebacker spot. How does a true freshman Jaden Robinson fit in? Does Derek Wingo, take that step that we've been waiting for? Like I feel good and really good about the top of it. I just want to see what happens behind those guys. There's going to be a lot of contributors here. So there's the depth that I mentioned there. I'm just eager to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it feels like this is a transition from what you said about having athletes and tweener guys to having guys that are been linebackers their entire lives. And I think Jamarcus Weston and Scooby Williams are great examples of what you mentioned. Guys who I think have been well liked, and now you have two staffs that have kind of fallen in love with them. So they're being given an incredible opportunity to carve out a role, to get on the field, to really show something. But if they don't, there are some real linebackers who, have done this for years, ready to take their lunch money and get out there. So this is their big chance. If they can't do it, the Shamar James of the world, the Jaden Robinsons of the world are ready and set to, take their place, I think.
Yeah, this has got to be make or break year for Derek Wingo.
It has to be. You can't give him more.
I hope the leadership qualities that's what I hear the most about him translates to the field somehow. And we get that.
Be a locker room guy. That's fine.
Yeah, and he's at least that, and that's why he's on the team. He's at least that. I hope we see more.
I just hope he stays healthy to be able to show that.
Right.
I think that's what's really hindered his career is his injury.
He's probably super talented, but he just, for whatever reason, can't make it through a season.
Well, here's the question I have. Are we going to see some of what seems to be athletic depth, competition at different positions, wide receiver, safety, linebacker? Are we going to see some of this bleed over into seeing a special teams that actually looks like what we expect Florida to look like on special teams? We're going to see, wow, this guy's popping, that guy's popping. This guy's trying to show what he can do to get on the field in, the main 11-on-11 stuff. Like, are we going to see that, or is it just going to be all talk? Like, what do you think?
That's a good point. That's where I look for somebody like Manny Nunnery. I expect him to contribute on defense, but also expect him to be he's got that background too, be a big-time contributor on special teams.
I want 5 block punts this year.
Yeah, I want to see more on the returns, more returns
on punt return.
Yeah,
seems like we got it. Seems like we got it. Yeah, seems like we got it.
That and more made field goals. But Alan Malik, I heard he hit 90% of his in scrimmages. So I guess that's a lot better than what he did 60 last year.
We just not stress about field goals and just score touchdowns.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, man, we know it'll come up at some point. But all right, let me finish defense, guys, right here. Let's go to the defensive backfield and star. No surprise, Jaden Hill. Right here listed as the starter, Jadarius Perkins, and then Sharif Denson as well. So no surprise, that's the names we expected at the star spot here. Going to cornerback spots, number 1, we'll say that because it's Jason Marshall. Behind him, Jakeem Jackson or Aaron Gates. Safety spots, is that a money sign on that depth chart? I think. No, never mind. That's my computer screen. I was about to say, do we got something new here? Do we have a money sign for one of the safety spots?
Everybody don't make money, Dave.
There we go. Miguel Mitchell, Kamari Wilson, or Bryce Thornton. So that's one of the safety spots. And, hey, look, out of spring practice, before they brought R.J. Moten in, we were looking at Miguel Mitchell and Kamari Wilson. That was the the secondary everybody was pegging. Then you go get R.J. Moten. So at one safety spot, we have Miguel Mitchell backed up by Kamari Wilson, and then Bryce Thornton go to the other safety spot, and maybe the biggest surprise of the whole depth chart. And we're 35 minutes in to recording right here, and we get to the biggest surprise maybe of Jordan Castell, true freshman, listed as a starter at safety, backed up by the experienced transfer R.J. Moten from Michigan, and then Bryce Thornton behind that. So
that guy's just got it.
That
kid's love it.
That's surprising, guys. If you would have told me, I probably would have said maybe Castell. If he was going to start, it would be alongside Moten. It'd be Moten and Castell, but it was like it's Miguel Mitchell and Jordan Castell. So
what does this say about Kamari?
Well, I mean, we've talked about that. That's not
they're all going to rotate anyway.
Yeah, they are.
I thought we've seen good things coming out of camp, that he's improved a lot.
Oh, hey, maybe. Okay, well, maybe Florida has 4 good safeties.
Hey, that would be first time in 08.
I mean, you'd love for the good things we hear, right, to mean depth. It doesn't necessarily mean, well, we only got 2 guys and nothing behind. Maybe Wilson did step up. And, Florida's got some options at safety. And look, we know that's the spot, and you guys just said it, that we'll see more faces at that spot. But look, Miguel Mitchell, Jordan Castell, Kamari Wilson, R.J. Moten, I expect those guys to play a lot. I expect them to rotate a lot. So, but still, seeing the true freshman back there at a spot where it's just been a sore spot for Florida, pretty surprising to see Castell back there listed as a starter. Let's go to the other corner spot. Jalen Kimber or Devin Moore. And I think we've kind of been following along that. No surprise there. They really, really like – it's not lip service, guys. They really like Jalen Kimber, what he's been able to do. Devin Moore hopefully can build and stay healthy, but build on what he was able to do last year. Dijon Johnson listed as the third cornerback at that spot. So Kimber or Moore, Castell, Mitchell, Jason Marshall, Jaden Hill. Looks like your starting defensive backfield.
So is Aaron Gates and Jakeem like right there neck and neck?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I've heard a lot more about Jakeem. This is kind of
expecting 4 there.
Yeah, you're right. I would have, if you would have asked me before this, and we get 3 names there, and it's Marshall, Jakeem, Gates, I would have not expected the or between Jackson and Gates. And look, I mean, who knows how to take this stuff? It's fun to talk about. Can we make too much of ors? Probably. Can we make too much of this whole thing? Probably. But hey, they put it out, and if you're going to put it out, we're going to talk about
it. Here's my favorite trivia question about this initial depth chart.
Yeah.
There are 5 players on the entire 3-deep depth chart that are listed as seniors for Florida. 3 on offense, 2 on defense. Who are those 5 players?
Well, I got it pulled up here so I can cheat.
I'll give you Pretty Ricky, obviously.
Okay. Yep.
Only one. We got Jason Marshall, right?
He's only a junior. He's leaving. He's
Terada Mitchell.
There you go. Terada Mitchell, but he's not even a starter, but he is in the 3D.
Then
you got Lindell Hudson.
Kingsley?
Kingsley's only a junior.
Oh, wow.
There's Lindell Hudson, Dante Zanders,
Perkins,
and
right?
Jadarius Perkins. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
those are the fatal 5.
Yeah, some of you guys are going by.
All but 3 guys on defense are redshirt freshmen, sophomores?
I think 70% of the entire team is first or second year, I believe. But only 2 guys that are seniors.
Senior.
Yeah, no.
On defense. And you only have, what, 1, 2?
I mean, Jadarius might start. We'll see what happens, obviously.
Yeah.
He's neck and neck. But Taraja seems like, obviously, for the moment, he's been beat out by Scooby, at least early in the week. But these are good problems to have,
Yeah, I mean, you got 7 starters on defense that are sophomores or freshmen.
Yeah.
Imagine bringing that back next year and a year after that,
and a recruiting class and transfers. Yeah, it's exciting.
It really is. I mean, you look at this defense, and you know what I wanted to do? Yeah, and you know what I wanted to do as an exercise? I mean, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can find it, but pull up the depth chart from last year's matchup.
Oh, I know somebody's got it.
Yeah. Let's see. Florida, Utah. What is that? 2022. I mean, it's going to be. It's going to look so much different. I know I have.
Yeah, I have depth charts on my PC.
I got it here.
Gotta save them.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Will it go back a year? Oh, I saved it from something I tweeted on December 30th. Here's a tweet from December 30th, 2022. How weird is this? This is what the tweet says. Gators depth chart week 1 versus Utah. It's going to look a lot different in 2023 week 1 versus Utah.
You're right.
And here we go, because I have it. So let's go. Here's the depth chart from a year ago. Xavier Henderson, Dejon Reynolds, or Marcus Burke. That's one wide receiver spot. Another receiver spot, Ricky Pearsall, Trent Whittemore, Jamarcus Weston, left tackle, Richard Garage, Cam Waits, left guard, Ethan White, Richie Leonard, center, Kingsley Aguakin. So there you go. Besides Ricky Pearsall, Kingsley Aguakin is your second, contributor, starter coming back. Right guard, Osiris Torrance. Right tackle, Michael Tarquin. Tight end, Dante Zanders. There's another one. Quarterback, of course, Anthony Richardson. Running back, Daquan Wright there. So there's kind of your differences on offense. On defense, Princely at defensive end a year ago.
Ventrell, obviously.
Yep, right.
Amari Burney.
Yep. Jalen Lee at nose tackle was listed as a nose tackle. Jervon Dexter. That lets you know we already knew the defensive front and was changing.
Trey Dean.
Yeah, Jack.
God bless.
Jack, Britton Cox Jr., Antoine Powell Ryland, Lloyd Summerall, David Reese, the number 4. David Reese was lit. That's the Jack spot from a year ago, guys. There you go. Britton Cox, Antoine Powell Ryland, Lloyd Summerall, David Reese. None of those guys are on the team.
Rest in peace.
Linebacker, Ventrell Miller. Linebacker, Amari Burney. DeJuan Black was listed as a linebacker. Travis Johnson. Kamar Will Coxon at the star.
Where was D1 Black at?
He was listed at one of the linebacker spots.
Third string linebacker, inside linebacker, yeah.
Yep. And then Jason Marshall at one quarterback spot. Safety, of course, Rashad Torrance, Trey Dean. Avery Helm starting at cornerback last year. But we know Devin Moore got a lot of playing time anyway. So that lets you know, guys, we saw it last year. Avery Helm started at corner last year, but we saw Devin Moore, in that last drive versus Utah. So, that's how, the depth chart, it's all good. It's all fun, but we're going to go down the depth chart. We know that. We know the game of football. You're going to, these names that are on the depth chart, you're going to see them. But that's just crazy how much it changed from a year ago.
Yeah, and we beat Utah with that lineup. And I'm not in football. Don't get me wrong; anything can happen. But we beat Utah with that lineup.
They got the best out of Amari Burney. He actually, at times, resembled a linebacker last year. That's how much coaching and motivation and strength coaches will do for you. So, God bless.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably the most improved player on that defense from year to year was Amari Burney.
Yeah.
So guys, so now granted,
those are the things that are so satisfying, just to see those guys, actually have a moment after so much frustration,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, should that make you feel better about, those young names that we're talking about at linebacker? Now Scooby, second year with this coaching staff. Shamar James, second year with this coaching staff. I mean, we saw the improvement in somebody like Amari Burney, who we never saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming. I was one of the biggest Amari Burney fans just as a person, and I never saw that coming. I would not have predicted
He clinched the game against Utah. He clinched the game, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So, I'm excited to see how much growth there is at that position just based on using that example last year.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm pretty fired up about who we're starting. Castell's earned it, so it's I'm fired up about this.
Oh, Ryan, you went with that was Ryan, right? I was on another screen, right? That just said that.
No.
Oh, Harrison.
No,
Harrison.
Justin.
Harrison. Okay. Harrison Ford, by the way. But yeah, Justin. That's a good point. I bring that up a lot. When we see freshmen out there, especially freshmen in the first game, great point. They earned it. Like this is not this is not a charity. These guys went out there and earned it.
Yeah. But when you look at Naquan Wright as a starting running back last year, it makes you wonder. Like, I think there's a certain aspect to this where, Napier rewards the guys that do things the right way. So you think about Xanders, you think about, some of these other guys. Are they really going to be starting in week 3, week 4, like Naquan did?
Good point.
I mean, probably not.
It's hard to imagine Naquan Wright was a super locker room guy when, like, every night on his story he was leaving or transferring somewhere or mad about something. And it's hard to really imagine he was a super locker room guy with an attitude like that.
Yeah, does it mean we don't see that happen anymore? We don't see a whole lot of drama come out of the team.
No, really don't.
It wasn't that Naquan
trouble.
Go ahead.
Yeah, off the field trouble, pretty much non-existent. I mean, this team.
I haven't seen a team that's this connected and this close probably since, I don't know, 08, 07, 08.
Yeah, we haven't had to kick off any people prior to the season either.
Yeah, you hope that means something. You hope that.
Now you said it. You said it. Knock on wood. What's that wood at?
How many people got arrested since
Hey, shout out to the 2012 team.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was obvious they were locked in and playing for each other the entire season.
For sure.
Shout out to Scooby getting a start. I think first, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think a lot of that also matters, like the mental, oh God, I'm losing the word. The mental part of the game and like the team cohesion and all that. That matters a lot on that football field, because when you got a lot of players that just don't care, they're not going to do anything on the football field. They're going to be individual players and not want to play, team football. I mean, we saw a lot of breakdowns in the defense last year. Nobody was on the same page, and now, I mean, especially you got a little bit, I guess, of a glimpse in the spring game. It's like I said, I don't like to put too much into them, but like you saw a lot more cohesion back there on defense, especially, with the pass rush and all that stuff. But,
But Dion said culture doesn't matter.
Yeah, he'll find out real quick.
Well, he said that crappy culture that he was coming into ain't matter. You guys think I'm getting some real guys in here. I'm going to be very interested to watch Dion this year, how it works and all, because building culture on the fly is, I don't know. I'm lucky that we don't have to watch the test tube babies, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So for me, the surprises are Khalil Jackson and Castell, but those two excite me a lot.
Yeah.
Legacies, baby, legacies.
I am really excited to see the defensive line and how much like gap coverage that they have, how much pressure they can put on the quarterback just by themselves without having to blitz a linebacker or anything like that. Just how much they can push that offensive line. I'm really curious to see that.
Also, I want to see how long if they're able to wear opposing teams down with their depth. If by second quarter, third quarter, if they're just leaning on guys and they're having to throw the ball away quickly because you got the backups in there just, big and huge the way we did against Ohio State a couple years ago.
I think we finally have safeties we can trust to leave our corners on islands. And that is so great for the defensive line in the front seven.
Yeah, I think
think about as far as like linebackers and safeties, like think about how much easier your job is whenever you're behind a defensive line that can actually get in the backfield.
Yeah.
And that has the depth to, keep the motor going throughout the game.
I mean, just imagine have defensive tackles.
Yeah. There was a while when we didn't. There was many years where we could not recruit those guys, or there weren't the guys to recruit at defensive tackle. So to be able to get two guys that have multiple years of eligibility left to start as transfers, I think is huge as a stopgap. I mean, to me, that's the biggest win of the transfer season, was to get those two guys with multiple years of eligibility in here and get them in here in the spring so they could be in training and get acclimated and stuff. I don't think that can be overestimated.
I know Cam has more years available. He wants to be in the NFL. a year from
He
now.
won't be here long.
Those are the aspirations. Those are the aspirations. Look, I hope it works out because that means he played well enough.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Like usually, if a guy is actually that good, we're kissing him on the cheek when he leaves. You know, it's all good.
I'm liking especially the recruiting class. Like if we hold on this recruiting class, hopefully, but that recruiting class coming in creates more depth that can stay longer. That way, we have to use the transfer portal less. And when we're using the transfer portal, we're just getting good players out of there and not using it to fill spots or band-aid spots.
Cherry pick.
Yeah, well, and ideally, to me, what I want to do is use the transfer portal to be able to do that second layer of recruiting. The guys that maybe made the wrong decision, or hey, made the right decision, picked up some bags of cash. But now the second time around, they can come home to mama and play for the team they should have played for. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, but look at it. Even the teams that recruit really well, there's going to be positions. Like Alabama has had to hit the transfer portal for wide receivers. Georgia's had to hit the transfer portal for wide receivers. Even you recruit at the elite of the elite, there might be a position group you still have to go hit. You know, you're not going to.
Yes.
You know, don't get me wrong. You know, if the transfer portal didn't exist, those schools are still in the best position and probably would have been in the best position anyway. But they found the need to have to go, hit the transfer portal, even with as good as they recruit. So, recruiting uptick. There's still going to be a need for it to fill in the spots there. And for Florida, that's still what 2-3 cycles away where you're going to put yourself at a Georgia, Alabama level. If you're recruiting the way we're recruiting, you got to do that 2 or 3 more times before you even start to think you're at that level.
So, what do you think? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, the one guy that I'm thinking that has a chance to go from no name to hot name is Russ Callaway because there's no expectations for this tight end room. A bunch of guys who were recruited, but maybe tweeners or injured or this, that, and the other. But if suddenly you're able to play 2 tight end sets and these guys are flashing and blocking and all the stuff, and he's the guy you handpicked when you could have brought in maybe anybody, and he was kind of a who type of a guy when we're hoping to bring in some big name. If the tight ends actually produce after, again, no big names, that's the guy, and you're going to get a lot of credit for those players and that position group and all. So that's what I keep thinking about, looking at these names, even looking at Arlis Boardingham, the one kind of bigger name in some ways. He's 3rd string right now. I think he'll still play, but it's interesting. Jonathan Odom, now that he's healthy, they're obviously pushing him into the 2 deep. To get him on the field. And again, another legacy alongside Khalil Jackson, because as an older fan, I like seeing the names pop up time and again,
All right, guys. Go ahead. Last little thought here before I got to go. So go ahead.
Do we have an All-American on the team?
Ooh.
Yes.
Jason Marshall for sure.
All-American. So we're talking
Pretty Ricky's what they call.
So we're talking bricks, right?
Is what they call him.
We're talking a brick.
Yeah, like this year, not like in a couple of years.
Yeah. So we're talking a brick. Ooh.
Heismerts.
Dave's talking brick and trophy. Okay.
I think we stay on the lineman. Barber.
Why
not?
Man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Or Cam Jackson.
I
think it's going to be a
Cam might be one. Marshall. I don't.
Yeah, Marshall sounds like the best bet to me. I'd say if the defense is doing what we hope they do, and he's flashing the way we've had DBs flash in the past, then
hopefully
that's the guy.
Yeah, hopefully a running back.
We'll
hopefully a running back, but I don't know if I see the.
They'll split the vote though. So.
Yeah, right.
I heard on Gators Breakdown Pod that probably Arlis Boardingham might be All-American.
Heard it here first.
Hey, it's like everyone's kind of talking that it might be realistic for Mertz to look at 30 passes a game. I mean, if that's the case, then Pearsall might even have an opportunity to be, All-American at the end of the season.
That's the other one. Can he pull a Travis McGriff and just wait? How many yards did he get? Type of a season.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a good question. That's a tough one.
I'm still waiting on Whittingham to decide who he wants to play at quarterback.
Yeah,
since he's told like $1 million.
I don't think we're going to get that answer until Thursday.
We can get an after pass.
Thursday.
70% Cam Jackson. Let's go.
We will find out at 7:58 Thursday night, probably.
I hope that tight end is healthy, though. I'm going to see what we do against that tight end. I know, I should want him not to play just because he's so good, but that dude was fun to watch, and I want to see what Armstrong has for him. So I'm hoping that the tight end at least is healthy. So we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for hopping on short notice here. I didn't know when the depth chart was dropping. I had a few minutes here, but let me go get back to life for a second. Do some article writing a little bit for the website. Prepare for Tuesday night episode. I will release it. I gotta kind of edit it together because I gotta record different parts of it at different times with having a guest on. But Porter Larson from they're in Utah will join me like he did last year. So Tuesday night, be on the lookout for the Utah preview episode as we get into this first game. But thanks for the short notice and you guys hopping on right here on Gators Breakdown Plus Discord.
Guys, we made it.
We made it.
Gotcha.
We made it.
Got to get Dave in hair, makeup, and wardrobe ready for the season. So we're all good. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.